We're getting close to the temple,
he told Rocksteady and Bebop.
Glad to hear it, boss.
Grunted Bebop, clutching his stun laser.
These tunnels give me the creeps.
Dunno how the turtles can live down here,
Rocksteady
The turtles!
burst out.
I had forgotten they live in sewers.
He pressed the button on his comlink, waiting impatiently for Krang's pink face to appear.
I need you to send me the neuroscrambler I invented.
He gabbled.
I can set it to produce a brain-warping frequency that will cause the turtles to see each other as enemies.
Oh, well.
Krang hesitated. Shredder cut in impatiently.
While the turtles are fighting each other, I will open the portal to Dimension X.
It's against my better judgment,
said Krang, turning his robot body towards the main control panel inside the huge Technodrome.
but all right.
Thank you, Krang. You will not regret this.
And Yoshi? The only thing on his mind was to escape the angry mob which were chasing him with loud cries.
Oh, give humans something different from themselves,
He panted to himself,
and they find something to hate.
There he is!
bellowed one policeman,
He's heading for the subway!
roared another. Yoshi could see there was nowhere to run, only the platform and the railway tracks. His one chance was to jump down, pressing his body up against the wall of the platform.
Whatever that thing is,
Came the policeman's voice, booming strangely through the emptiness.
it looks dangerous.
Yoshi held his breath, a beam from the policeman's torch barely missing him. Then came something more frightening, the rumble of a distant train getting louder and louder. April and the Turtles couldn't hear any trains where they were, and they couldn't see much either.
According to April's video,
Donatello kept saying.
that old underground temple is right here.
Suddenly, he stopped. A low, throbbing hum seemed to be sending him off balance.
Hey guys, I feel kind of weird.
Yeah, me too,
Said Raphael.
my brain hurts.
April could see that Michelangelo was affected as well, the way he was stumbling and falling around.
Hey,
Raphael bawled, drawing his sword.
watch where you're going, nerd.
To April's astonishment, Donatello raised his wooden Japanese bow in self-defense.
Who are you calling a nerd?
Cut it out, fellas.
Leonardo broke in wearily, but Michelangelo made a grab at him, ignoring the look of horrified disbelief on April's face.
Shut up, geek. You're getting too big for your shell.
Why are you doing this?
She pleaded.
What's happening?
Further along the tunnel, the policeman had finally given up hounding Yoshi, except that he wasn't Yoshi any longer. As the two men turned away and headed back up the stairs, a brown, furry head rose above the edge of the platform. Splinter did not really need to see himself mirrored in a chocolate machine.
Once again, Yoshi is gone,
He mused sadly.
and only Splinter remains.
He gave a deep sigh,
So be it.
and he leapt down into the tunnel, not too far from the spot where April was trying to break up the pitched battle between the four turtles.
Have you all gone crazy?
She shouted desperately.
What would Splinter think if he saw you?
A fierce blow from Michelangelo sent Leonardo reeling back. April noticed him shaking his head as if he were trying to collect his thoughts. Even his words were spoken with an effort.
April's right. We must not fight each other.
Nobody said anything, which meant that April could hear the strange humming noise coming from the wall.
That weird sound.
She said.
That must be what's causing it.
It wasn't hard to find Shredder's neuroscrambler hidden in the wall,
I was right.
cried April, throwing it into the air.
Get it, guys?
The Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles were a team again. They hurled up their weapons and hit Shredder's neuroscrambler at exactly the same moment.
Mondo nutsiness,
Stated Michelangelo, still a bit dazed.
Oh, thanks, April.
Gee,
Said Donatello.
it's just like Master Splinter saved us again, even though he's no longer part of us.
You said it, Donatello.
Sighed Leonardo.
Come on, guys.
By now, Bebop and Rocksteady were wishing they were back on Dimension X or in the public library, anywhere away from the endless maze of tunnels.
We've been looking for hours, boss.
Whined Bebop.
We're never gonna find this temple,
Groaned Rocksteady as they rounded yet another curve. But then they stopped short, their mouths gaping wide open.
You were saying...
Shredder triumphantly. His eyes gleamed. The light of glowing crystals mounted in wall brackets picked out details of the decorated tiles and the altar flanked by carved columns and tall pillars rising up to the roof. Shredder lit the incense remaining in one of the burners, and there was a blaze of light. It cast long, dark step to the altar, turning the yellowing pages of the ancient book. He heard any sound, like the long, sensitive nose of a rat sniffing at the strong smell of incense. He was past caring. It was nearly midnight. Time to begin the all-powerful spell. Nothing else mattered.
All right, Shredder.
A voice rang through the network of tunnels.
Your number is up.
The turtles!
Shredder's eyes narrowed.
Now!
He yelled to Rocksteady and Bebop. Shouts and cries of pain echoed and re-echoed around the deserted temple as the two villains began firing their stun lasers until April and the turtles collapsed in a heap.
Congratulations!
Sniggered Shredder, taking their weapons.
You're just in time to witness my hour of triumph. Too bad it's the last thing you'll ever see.
He returned to the altar, glancing up at the clock on the wall. Midnight at last.
By ancient lore and powers dark,
began Shredder, reading the book.
Let space and time begin to part.
At this point, Master Splinter emerged from the tunnel. His eyes widened in horror at the sight of a three-dimensional portal shimmering into existence between the pillars.
Portal now open wide,
continued Shredder.
Reveal last what is inside.
Now the portal was a solid doorway. The flames from the incense burners fluttered and bent in the wind which blew into the opening.
Key into my success. Bridge the gap to dimension.
Stop!
Shredder whirled around to face Splinter, not seeing that the portal door was opening wider to reveal a black, dead-looking landscape crisscrossed with jagged cracks and bottomless pits. Its sky hung low and dark.
No!
Screamed out Shredder, following Master Splinter's horrified gaze.
No! The sp has been miscast!
Master Splinter!
Cried Leonardo, seeing Rocksteady and Bebop reaching for their stun lasers.
Look out!
His warning came just in time. Somehow, Splinter managed to dodge the ray blast, giving Donatello the chance to kick out and knock Bebop off his feet. Rocksteady came back on the attack. But once Leonardo had snatched up the stun laser, it was easy to flip the punk rhino over his head with it.
Wah!
Screamed Rocksteady, seeing a huge tentacle rise up from one of the cracks in the black landscape. It snaked its way through the portal, grabbing Shredder and coiling around him. More tentacles rose up, this time snatching Rocksteady, Bebop, and April.
What's going on?
Demanded Donatello.
Shredder's opened a portal to the wrong dimension,
explained Master Splinter.
So instead of Dimension X,
put in Raphael,
Shredder's tuned into Dimension XYZ.
More and more of the monster was appearing every minute, groping forward with even more tentacles and trying to squeeze its horrible, slimy bulk through the portal.
The portal will only remain open for a few minutes,
announced Master Splinter.
Once it closes, that creature will remain in our world.
We've got to drive it back through the portal,
shouted Leonardo. With cries of
Turtle Power!
The turtles went on an all-out attack. The trouble was, whenever a tentacle was cut, it promptly grew back, stronger than ever. Their one triumph belonged to Raphael when he stabbed at the tentacle holding April. Instinctively, it drew away, releasing her. But Michelangelo had barely pulled her to safety before the wound healed and the tentacles started groping around again. It seemed Shredder was reluctant to lose Bebop and Rocksteady as well. He hurled 2 explosives that each burst on the tentacles which held the partners in crime. They were thrown free, but still the monster kept on growing.
It's coming through the portal!
Yelled Donatello.
Quick!
Shouted Leonardo, keeping his cool as always.
Lure it towards the columns!
He ran and stood in front of one of the columns, ducking away from the tentacle which lashed out towards him. So instead of hitting the brave turtle leader, it smashed through the column, bringing down a hail of masonry. With a roar, the monster turned its attention to Donatello, standing firm before another column. And as a tentacle whipped towards him, he used his Japanese wooden bow to pole vault out of the way. Crash! Down came another column, broken in 2 by the monster. Loud creaks and groans were coming from the roof. Cracks appeared which became wider and wider. Then the remaining columns started to crumble, and the whole temple began to cave in.
Uh-oh!
Cried Michelangelo through clouds of dust and smoke.
Time to boogie!
It was clear that the monster was thinking along the same lines. With stonework and masonry falling all around, it retreated back. Almost at the same instant, the portal shrank to a tiny dot and disappeared. The turtles barely had time to jump back down into the tunnel before the entire building collapsed with a final, earth-shattering rumble.
Thanks for your help, April,
said Donatello, after it was all over.
Don't mention it.
April gave a long-suffering smile.
I love spending a relaxing evening fighting monsters from other dimensions.
Later, there were pizzas for the turtles, and time to welcome back their friend, Master Splinter.
Gee, Master,
said Donatello sadly.
We're really sorry the experiment to change you back into a human didn't take.
Splinter smiled.
I do not regret it. After seeing how humans treat one another, I prefer being an animal. Besides,
he went on in his deep, wise voice,
if I had not returned to my present form, I would not have been able to reach you in time, and Shredder would have won.
I never thought of it that way,
said Leonardo. Michelangelo said nothing. He was remembering something else Master Splinter had told them long, long ago.
Do not speak when your mouth is full of your favorite peanut butter and anchovy pizza.